Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Unsolved Mystery Series, episode 99. Today is actually the second to last episode of this series, and we're diving deep into a case that has haunted Delhi for over a decade, the disappearance of Dr. Chitra Sharma.
Disappearances, those are always, tough to crack. You don't have a body.
Yeah.
You often have more questions. More questions than answers, right?
Yeah.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but like with half the pieces missing, and you're not even sure you're looking at the right picture.
Okay, let's unpack this. On March 17th, 2011, Dr. Sharma, a respected psychologist, vanished. She was only 42 years old, with a family, a thriving career.
What's so fascinating about these cases is that there's always a ripple effect, right? I mean, it's not just about solving a crime. It's about understanding the life that was interrupted, the connections that were severed.
Absolutely. Dr. Chitra Sharma was deeply committed to her patients, a loving mother to her 10-year-old daughter and wife to Rajesh, a software engineer. And one day she's there, a vibrant part of their lives, and the next, she's just gone.
It really makes you think about the vulnerability we all face, you know? I mean, how can someone just disappear from a bustling city like Delhi?
Right.
It challenges our sense of safety and order.
It really does. So let's retrace Dr. Sharma's steps on that day. She left for her clinic at 9 a.m., a seemingly ordinary start to her day. Last sighting was at a café near her clinic, around 10 a.m. There's CCTV footage of her ordering coffee and making a phone call.
CCTV footage. It can be so helpful for investigators, but also frustratingly limited. Like in this case, you get a snapshot, of her last known moments, but it doesn't tell us where she went after or who she might have met.
Right. And that phone call, the recipient, unidentified, adds another layer to this mystery.
The unknown caller. It's like a classic element of missing person cases. So often it leads to dead ends, but sometimes it can unlock the truth.
Yeah. So when Dr. Sharma didn't come home that evening, her husband Rajesh frantically tried calling her, but her phone was switched off. By midnight, he knew something was terribly wrong and filed a missing person report.
The first 24 hours are crucial. It's a race against time, and in Dr. Sharma's case, the trail went cold very quickly.
Yeah, tragically, the next day her car was found abandoned near a park, about a kilometer from her clinic.
Yeah.
Inside the car were her bag, her wallet, even her phone charger. But two crucial items were missing, her phone and a notebook she always carried with her.
The abandoned car, it's curious, right? I mean, suggests maybe she went somewhere voluntarily, to meet someone perhaps, and never returned. But the missing phone, the notebook, that's a red flag. Why take those? Suggests someone wanted to eliminate any trail, digital or written, that she might have left behind.
Exactly. The car was locked. No signs of a struggle.
Yeah.
It's like she stepped out for a moment and just vanished.
And that missing notebook, I mean, for psychologists like Dr. Sharma, a notebook could hold sensitive client information, therapeutic approaches, personal reflections, even threats. So its disappearance adds a whole new dimension to this case.
It does. It's like a missing piece of the puzzle, a clue that could unlock what happened to her.
Absolutely. And it shows how important it is to understand the victim's profession, right? A psychologist's work. Well, it often delves into some of the darkest corners of the human mind, and that can attract unwanted attention.
So we have a missing person, a last known sighting, an abandoned car, missing personal items. It's a tangled web, and the police were determined to untangle it. They launched a full-scale investigation, but what did they find?
It was a real challenge for the police. They basically dove headfirst into Dr. Sharma's life, hoping to find something, anything that could explain her sudden disappearance.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, they went through that CCTV footage with a fine-tooth comb, looking for anyone suspicious following her, any unusual interactions. They interviewed everyone, her colleagues, her friends, family. They even went through her client records.
Wow, talk about a massive undertaking. Sifting through all those interviews, looking for inconsistencies, any hidden motives, anything that might point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's a needle in a haystack.
It really was. And, for the most part, those interviews just showed a woman who was well-respected, loved by her family and friends, dedicated to her work.
But I'm sure, there had to be a few things that kind of, piqued the investigators' interest. No life is without its complexities.
Right. You're right. Some colleagues mentioned that Dr. Sharma had expressed concerns about one particular client. He had become, overly persistent, trying to contact her outside of their scheduled appointments.
Now, that's a red flag for anyone, let alone a psychologist who, delves into the depths of people's minds. Their work, it often attracts people who are really struggling, and sometimes those struggles, they can manifest in really unhealthy ways.
Yeah. So investigators tracked down this client, and they questioned him extensively, but they couldn't find any direct evidence linking him to Dr. Sharma's disappearance.
That's so often the case with these investigations, right? You find a lead, seems promising, but then poof, dead end. It's a process of elimination, slowly putting a puzzle together, but without all the pieces.
Yeah. There was another possible lead, though. A witness thought they saw a woman who looked like Dr. Sharma. Said she was talking to two men near the park where her car was found. But the description was vague, and it was a busy public area, so it was hard to verify.
An unconfirmed sighting, especially in a crowded place, those are almost impossible to follow up on. It's like chasing a ghost. Could be important, could be nothing but mistaken identity, who knows?
Right. And then there was the theory that maybe Dr. Sharma chose to disappear. Some people pointed to the stress of her job, dealing with all those emotional burdens of her patients. Maybe that got to her.
It's true that, mental health professionals often carry a lot of weight, the weight of their clients' struggles. It's emotionally draining, even for the most seasoned therapists. But to just walk away from everything, her family, her career, without a single word, it doesn't really add up.
It really doesn't. And her family, her friends, they completely rejected that idea. They said she would never abandon her loved ones. They described her as a devoted mother, a loving wife, deeply connected to her community.
That's key, though. To really understand the victim, their personality, their relationships, their routine. Was she the kind of person who would disappear without a trace? Or was there something else going on?
Right. And then there's the theory that Dr. Sharma may have been the victim of foul play.
Yeah.
Targeted because of her work, or even a random act of violence.
Well, the fact that her car was found abandoned, right, with her stuff inside, but no phone, no notebook, it definitely raises concerns. It's almost as if someone wanted to, control the narrative, erase any trace of her last movements.
But if it was foul play, why weren't there any signs of a struggle? And why leave the car with her bag and wallet in such a public place?
Those are the questions that just linger, right? I mean, sometimes the lack of evidence is more puzzling than actually having it. It makes you consider everything, no matter how unsettling.
And then there's always that possibility, however unsettling, that Dr. Sharma was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, the victim of a random crime of opportunity.
Well, the car being near a park, that does lend itself to that theory, right? Parks can be havens for crime, especially after dark. But even a random crime, usually there's something left behind. A witness, maybe some DNA, something.
It's a case it's baffling. We have theories, suspicions, but not that one key piece of evidence, that undeniable link to solve the puzzle.
And that's what makes this so perplexing, Dr. Sharma's disappearance. It's a case that forces us to confront the limits of what we know, the mysteries that endure, and how hope can still exist even when faced with uncertainty.
So many questions and not enough answers. Who was she talking to on the phone that morning? What happened after she left the cafe? And will her family will they ever get the closure they need?
I think that's the hardest part for families, in these missing person cases. Just not knowing, the endless wondering. It's a heavy burden to carry.
And in Dr. Sharma's case, it's even more heartbreaking. She dedicated her life to helping others, helping them cope with their struggles. To think that someone who brought so much solace to others could just vanish.
It's almost like you wonder, what if she had some insight, into her own fate, some premonition because of her work? What if she knew she was in danger? But those are questions we may never know the answers to.
Yeah, you're right. We can't let speculation take over.
Yeah.
As much as we want an explanation, sometimes the truth is just, out of reach.
That's the hard part about unsolved cases. You're left with pieces, glimpses into someone's life, but the full picture, it's just gone.
So what can we take away from all this? What can we learn from Dr. Sharma's story?
Well, I think it reminds us, how fragile life is, how quickly things can change. It also shows how important personal safety is, especially for people in professions like Dr. Sharma's who might encounter people who are struggling.
Yeah, it also shows how limited technology can be.
Yeah.
We have cameras everywhere, digital footprints, and yet people can still just disappear, leaving behind nothing but questions and heartache.
It really is humbling. Despite all our progress, there are still mysteries we may never solve. But that doesn't mean we give up, right? We keep searching.
It's been over a decade, and the case is still open. Maybe one day, a new witness will come forward, a piece of evidence will turn up, something that will shed light on what happened that morning.
We have to hold on to that hope.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the disappearance of Dr. Chitra Sharma. This was the second-to-last episode in CrimePod Castle's Unsolved Mystery series. We hope you found it insightful, even though, well, it leaves us with more questions than answers.
It has been quite a journey exploring these cases. I always learn something new, and I hope our listeners do too.
If you have any thoughts about Dr. Sharma's case, any theories, please share them with us. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle for more deep dives into compelling mysteries.
Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep your minds open to all the mysteries out there.